Hi guys, I'm Adam Wilborn from WhatCulture, joined by Phil Chambers from WhatCulture for some late night news ahead of our Hell in a Cell live stream. And let's dive straight into that headline story about police raiding a wrestling event, believing that the wild fight that was going on was real or more real than you get the idea. Basically, it was a GCW event. It was the GCW Outlaw Mud Show event. It was going on Saturday night in Laramie, somewhere in Miami. The Albany County Fairgrounds. And then surprisingly, it featured one Nick Gage, the GCW World Champion. He was facing Mance Warner in a bunkhouse brawl match, and it got so crazy that 8 police officers showed up to question the two men for the concession stand brawl. Joey Janela was in attendance and said, so the cops here thought that Mance Gage was real and got too out of control. There are cops here all over. This is pretty wild. It's still real here in Wyoming. Why am I not surprised by this, Chambers?
Yeah, absolutely mental. And if it's going to happen to anyone, it's going to be Nick Gage, isn't it? I guess he's about as real as you can get in professional wrestling. But it's who called the cops for this? Like, who called them? Where did they get the... Like, if you're at a wrestling show, you know it's wrestling. Why are you calling the cops? I don't understand how they started.
To be fair, I've seen a clip on, I think it was on GCW's Twitter, of a table being set on fire, of course, before Mance Warner was getting put through it. I think the tagline was something like, Gage here making Mance mellows. And I suppose if you were just like driving past going, that's a table. I think there's people literally need to know about this. But yes, by the sounds of things, everything worked out all right, or as well as it can work out when you're in a bunkhouse brawl match with Nick Gage. But oh God, this just it makes my stomach turn thinking about this.
Absolutely ridiculous. I just feel for poor Matt Cardona for when he eventually faces Nick Gage.
There's not enough woos in the world that can get you through that, is there?
Yeah, it's going to be messy. But speaking of messy wrestlers, I guess, I've got a massive update on Brock Lesnar and WWE. Now, this is coming from Fightful. They are reporting that Lesnar and WWE have been in talks about a return. They have plans in place, and they're hoping that that return could be imminent. Now, no obviously exact word on when that might be, but not only Fightful reporting this, Andrew Zarian of the Matman podcast, who has been on an absolute roll at the minute in terms of breaking stories, he just tweeted out a gif of Brock Lesnar with just the caption soon. Now, Brock's contract actually expired back in August last year, and then WWE couldn't actually agree on a new deal at the time. Obviously, he still went and did WrestleMania and things like that. And Lesnar's merch was removed from the WWE shop at that time as well. But it was always expected that Brock Lesnar would return at some point. Just wasn't known when, but it looks like that point is coming soon, with crowds coming back and possibility of a SummerSlam match, maybe?
Well, Phil Chambers, I hate to say I told you. Oh, no, I don't. I love saying that. I told you so. I literally said this. Look, there are conflicting reports seemingly every other day about Brock Lesnar returning to WWE. I believe literally earlier on today, we were reading about the Wrestling Observer newsletter, or Dave Meltzer, and in some sort of form of output from the Wrestling Observer, basically saying, yeah, no talks have been happening. It's all gone very much quiet and all this. From the moment, the big news about SummerSlam, which I'll get onto a bit more of in a second, and just the whole crowd's returning, I just felt like the stars are starting to align, and particularly the scene in the WWE Championship picture with big guys wanting big opponents to face, basically. Yeah. It just seems to really be converging, and I always know that WWE leave it as late as possible. They ain't going to contact Brock Lesnar in April to see if he's free in August for SummerSlam. They're going to contact him. I mean, to be honest, this is early for them. I was thinking like mid-July, as soon as Money in the Bank finishes, and they go, what's next? SummerSlam! So, yeah.
I mean, if there wasn't going to be fans at SummerSlam, I doubt they'd be contacting him at all.
Yeah, exactly. But like you say, no crap, just Sap, Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful, and Andrew Zarian of the Matman Pro Wrestling Podcast. Really good on this sort of thing. Exciting times. I reckon it's going to happen. I think he's going to be involved in the world title picture. Interesting to see whether that influences our predictions or expectations for tonight's show, Phil. I know Bobby Lashley has promised something crazy regarding their Hell in a Cell match between him and Drew McIntyre. I have no idea who's going to emerge victorious, but yeah, both of them would be tasty. A rematch, obviously, between McIntyre and Lesnar potentially. I'm automatically booking Lesnar into the world title picture, of course, because it's WWE. What else are they going to do? But also, yeah, Bobby Lashley versus Brock, not to be sniffed at either, especially with their MMA backgrounds as well. But speaking of SummerSlam, conflicting reports again recently about WWE potentially struggling with sales. Well, they aren't for SummerSlam. Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer on there reporting it is basically already sold out. It, of course, goes down on the 21st of August. That's a Saturday. Mark it in your diaries. It's going to take place in Las Vegas's Allegiant Stadium. That has a capacity just over 41,000, or the capacity for the event, I should say, is going to be 41,000. Approximately 37,000 tickets already sold. It is shaping up to be a big show and a big summer event for WWE. Phil Chambers, I can't wait.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be huge. They're looking for this sort of WrestleMania level event, since they haven't actually, well, I guess WrestleMania is still quite WrestleMania level, but not to the same extent. But also with that 41,000 or whatever it was, there's quite a lot of the arena blocked off for like the entranceway and things like that. So there is still the possibility that they might just open that up a little bit if the tickets are selling very well. But a complete contrast to some of the live events that they've announced that they're struggling to get 6,000 for, it seems. So
it does seem to be the case that they are, like you say, doing big things for SummerSlam, because we just can speculate on many, many huge matches. But now, with this information I read over the weekend about names being advertised for local shows, whether that be Edge or The Fiend, and there's speculation about John Cena and Becky Lynch for SummerSlam. I think things are going to pick up. Just how about we take the price down a notch, WWE? Just pump the bloody brakes a little bit. We've all had a bit of a tough time with it for the last 18 months.
Yeah, it does very much seem like they're back, they'll pay anything. But I guess they've got to get enough money to hire back all the live event staff that they fired last year, so... But moving on, and speaking of people they fired last year, or fired earlier, the IIconics, possibility of them having a new name now. Jessa McKay and Casey Lee. Is it Casey Lee or Cassie Lee? Never know.
I think
Cassie Lee have obviously been making like recent comments about their future in the wrestling business, and that they will be a package deal wherever they may end up. And recently, Casey Lee has filed a trademark for inspiration with two eyes. Of course, I was gonna say, does it still work in the same accent?
It's still good. It's got the double I at the front. I don't care. It could be almost anything.
Fair. They have filed this for the purposes of entertainment in the nature of wrestling contests, and for goods and services such as shirts, hats, and hoodies. So expect some merch to hit on July the 14th, which is when their no-compete ends. So we're getting there. It's only a few weeks away now. We'll have to see where they're going, but it's very exciting news.
Yes, I'm very, very excited. Obviously, great to see the two of them still working together. They do the podcast as well. Yeah, July 14th, just over, or just under a month until my birthday. What timing, ladies. Absolutely fantastic. I can't wait to see what they do next, whether it be in AEW or Impact or wherever it may be. I just think it works so much better, like you say, as a package deal. And whether or not they want to do it as, maybe you have one as a mouthpiece and one as a wrestler, or just carry on with the whole tag team shtick. Either way, splitting them up is the dumbest decision ever. We've been over this time and time again. And yeah, it's not quite, well, maybe it's just because I'm not used to it. We're so used to the IIconics.
Yeah, as soon as they're shouting it out and doing the pose, we'll buy into it fully.
Yeah, the first moment they do it, as you say, Phil, the first moment they do it, it's going to be very exciting. And my phone's probably going to explode from all the tweets people are going to send me about it happening. So thanks in advance for that one. But let us know your thoughts on their new name and everything we've discussed in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling on either iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast from, for daily wrestling podcasts. We will have our ASMR review of Hell in a Cell up there in a few hours after the show goes off the air. And speaking of Hell in a Cell, join myself and Phil Chambers for our Hell in a Cell live stream reactions in, well, probably just a few minutes time after this news goes up. Plus, you can let us know your thoughts thoughts and Twitter questions on Twitter at WhatCultureWWE. Whilst there, follow both of us. You can follow Phil Chambers at
Fill My Chambers, and you can follow Adam Wilborn at
Adam Wilborn. Yes, you can follow us all at WhatCultureWWE. But for now, my thanks to Phil Chambers. Thank you for joining us. Enjoy Hell in a Cell. We'll see you soon.